episode 27 of the World of FPGA Podcast. We will dive deep into the FPGA architecture. This episode is about slices. Welcome to the World of FPGA Podcast. I'm your host, David Kirchner, and I will lead you through the world of FPGA. And now, let's begin. Some episodes ago, we talked about the basic design of FPGAs. We talked of what parts does an FPGA consist of, and we talked about, on the top level, what is inside an FPGA. This was episode 5 and 6, and you can find the links in the show notes. But this was too much on the surface. We will now go very much deeper into the architecture of FPGAs. In the following series, we will discover different parts of the architecture of different FPGAs. And today we start with slices. So, what are slices? That's the question we have for this episode. FPGA resources are grouped into slices to create configurable logic blocks. Sometimes you have heard the abbreviation CLBs, so that are the configurable logic blocks. And a slice contains of a fixed number of lookup tables, or in short, LUTs, flip-flops, and multiplexers. A LUT is a collection of logic gates hardwired onto the FPGA. And this LUT can be used for different logic functions like an AND gutter, or we using it as just as a lookup table. And to be more general, it is like a truth table. And often a carry chain is also implemented into such a slice. And if you have a number of slices connected together, you can use this carry chain, for example, for an adder or subtractor. All the resources are connected together with multiplexers just to be flexible. And mostly every resource in a slice can be used on its own. Just bypass all the other parts which are in the signal way, so you can, for example, use a multiplexer directly from a slice from the outside and use the inputs and the outputs for your own logic. But what are the difference between the FPGA manufacturer? Well, the most differences are in the number of parts inside a slice. The question is how many flip-flops are inside a slice, or how many lookup tables you can find, or multiplexers, or carry chains, and so on. But the basic structure is almost the same. It's different in the number of parts inside a slice. And another difference can, for example, be the number of inputs of a lookup table, of a LUT. There can be, for example, 5, 4, 6, or even 8 inputs for one lookup table. But the most FPGAs are very equal in this area. And if you create your configuration for an FPGA, or better, the implementation tools do this for you. For example, the lookup tables get their truth table to be, for example, an AND gate. The multiplexers get a value which input should be used for the signal. Flip-flops are getting a start value if the flip-flop set to 0 or set to 1 after the configuration. Routing is not part of a slice. The routing resources are different from the slices, and we will go in this area in another episode. In the next episode, we will look into digital signal processing blocks, the DSP blocks, which you can also find in most FPGAs you can buy on the market. At the end, a short housekeeping. The first is, this podcast is now can be also find on Spotify. One listener of this podcast has asked Glenn, and so Glenn asked me if we can put this podcast also on Spotify, because he is using this this streaming service, and now this podcast is also on Spotify. Yeah, the other point is, please share this podcast with your colleagues, with your friends, maybe also with your family. If your family is also interested in FPGA design, that would be very helpful to bring this podcast more and more into the world. And now, thanks for listening. Thanks a lot for listening. And the links to the episodes and further information can be found at world-of-fpga.com/WFP027. If you found this episode helpful, please rate it on Apple Podcasts and share it with your colleagues and friends. That's the end of today's podcast episode. Thank you for listening and for your attention. So I say goodbye. Here next time, your David Kirchner.